Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to a story that will grip your heart and remind you of the strength we carry within. Today, I'm sharing a tale of betrayal, resilience, and a truth so shocking it will leave you speechless. If this story moves you, please hit that like button, leave a comment with your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so we can keep sharing stories that matter. Let's dive into a journey that's as heartbreaking as it is inspiring. My name is Billy, and at 27, I thought I'd left the ghosts of my past behind. I was standing in my small apartment, the scent of fresh coffee filling the air, when my phone buzzed. Just a simple notification, but it stopped me cold. A video message from Mrs. Langford, our old neighbour, someone I hadn't heard from in years. Her name alone stirred memories I'd tried so hard to bury. Memories of love, loss, and a family that once felt like home. I hesitated, my finger hovering over the screen. Why would she reach out now? With a deep breath, I tapped play. Her voice was shaky, devoid of warmth or greeting, just one chilling sentence. "I'm so sorry about your parents. I can't believe what I saw today." My stomach twisted into knots. What could she mean? Then the video loaded, and the world as I knew it shattered. The screen showed St. Albans Church, its stained glass windows glowing under the morning sun, the same church where my parents used to take me for Christmas Eve services. The camera zoomed in, slow and deliberate, to the podium where two figures stood. My parents. My mother draped in black lace and pearls, dabbing at her eyes with a handkerchief. My father, rigid and solemn, reading from a trembling sheet of paper. Behind them, a polished wooden casket gleamed under soft candlelight, and next to it, a large framed photograph of me surrounded by white lilies. I froze, my breath caught in my throat. My father's voice echoed through the phone. She was always a troubled girl, but we loved her. We did everything we could. My vision blurred as tears stung my eyes. He was reading my eulogy, my obituary. Though she left this world far too young, we pray her soul finds peace. My hands shook as I gripped the kitchen counter, the coffee forgotten. I wasn't dead. I was standing right here, alive, breathing, my heart pounding in my chest. What the hell was happening? I scrubbed the video back, played it again, desperate to make sense of it. Their faces didn't waver, not a flicker of genuine grief. My mother's tears were rehearsed, my father's voice steady, performative. They weren't mourning, they were acting. My mother spoke of a tragic accident that never happened. My father described my final years in isolation as if I hadn't been working, living, surviving. They knew I was alive, so why were they doing this? The video ended with the camera panning across the mourners, distant relatives, family, friends, even my childhood piano teacher, all dressed in black, all believing I was gone. Not one of them had reached out to me, not one had questioned the lie. I played the video again, then again, each replay carving a deeper wound. They hadn't just disowned me, they had buried me alive. The truth hit me like a freight train. This wasn't a mistake, it was a choice, a deliberate, calculated choice to erase me from their lives, from the world. But to understand why, I had to go back to the moment my family turned their backs on me. 3 years ago, I was 24. Still believing family meant loyalty, protection, love. That illusion shattered in a single night. My younger sister, Eleanor, the golden child who could do no wrong, had been living a life she couldn't afford. Designer clothes, luxury vacations, a glittering facade funded by one reckless act. She embezzled $80,000 from our family's business. When the books caught fire, and the truth threatened to surface, my parents needed a scapegoat. And I was the easy choice. I can still hear my mother's venomous words in the kitchen that night. Better one ruined daughter than two. My father couldn't even meet my eyes as he delivered the final blow. You humiliated us. You're no longer our daughter." By morning, I was gone. No money, no explanation, just silence. I called, texted, sent letters, nothing. My number was blocked, my emails ignored. Family friends who once welcomed me with open arms stopped responding. One by one, every door slammed shut. I became a ghost, not just to my family, but to everyone who had ever known me. Broken and alone, I did what survivors do. I left, I moved abroad, took a job at a small cafe, changed my number, and learned to live quietly. I stopped posting online, barely spoke my name, but deep down I clung to a fragile hope that someone, anyone, would reach out, tell me it was all a mistake. That hope died the day I tried to renew my old email account. The response from support was chilling. This account has been deactivated due to a report of user decease. My name, my identity, marked as dead. Officially, digitally, completely. That video from Mrs. Langford changed everything. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. The image of my own funeral played on a loop in my mind. My parents' fake tears, my sister's calm composure, my photograph next to a casket I'd never seen. Something wasn't right, so I started digging. I called my Aunt Rachel, my mother's older sister, who used to sneak me candy at family reunions. The phone rang twice before she answered. "Hello, Aunt Rachel, it's me, it's Billy." Silence, then a click. She hung up. I tried my cousins. One sent a thumbs up emoji and ghosted me. Another texted, "Is this some kind of sick joke?" No one believed I was alive, except my youngest cousin Sam, the one who used to look up to me when we were kids. His text was hesitant. "Billy, are you really alive?" "Yes," I replied. "I need the truth. What did they tell everyone?" His response made my stomach drop. "They said you died in a car crash overseas 3 years ago. Cremation, closed casket. It was too late to bring you home." A car crash? I'd never even owned a car abroad. My hands shook as I pulled out every document I had. Passport stamps, rental agreements, tax filings. I was alive, accounted for, undeniable. Then I checked the Public Records Office online. There it was, in black and white. Billy Dickwa, date of death July 16th. Cause, road accident, status, deceased. They had forged it. They had made me legally dead. But why? The answer lay in a place I hadn't dared to look in years. Alina's Instagram. She'd gone public again, her feed a glittering showcase of white roses, champagne fountains, and a diamond ring the size of a small planet. Her wedding. Everyone was there, Aunt Rachel, my cousins, even great Uncle Theo, who never showed up for anything. But not me, not a single mention, not even a whisper of, "Billy could have been here." I was erased, replaced. And then I saw it, a photo of my father, grinning, raising a glass with the caption, "To the one daughter who always made us proud." My blood ran cold. I searched the family business registry and the truth hit like a slap. My grandparents' trust fund, meant for my college and future, had been transferred to Alina 6 months after my death. She hadn't just replaced me, she had profited from me. My sister, my parents, they didn't mourn me, they buried me to cover their tracks. Enough was enough. If they wanted me dead, they were about to see just how alive I was. The next morning, I walked into a law office with a stack of documents and a fire in my chest. Passport stamps, employment contracts, flight records, proof that screamed the truth. The young attorney across the desk looked stunned. "You're challenging your own death?" I slid the forged death certificate across the table. "I'm not dead," I said, "but I plan to haunt them." He nodded slowly. "We'll start with a fraud complaint and a motion to revoke the declaration of death." But time was running out. That same day, a message came from an unknown number. "They're holding a memorial for you next Sunday at St. Albans. No name, no explanation, but I knew the church, I knew the address, and I knew what I had to do. St. Albans had never looked so full. Cars lined the street, mourners in black pouring through the heavy oak doors, their whispers and tears filling the air with practiced grief. I watched from across the street, hidden in a black coat and sunglasses, still invisible. Inside, the organ played a mournful tune. Candles flickered beneath my photograph, the same one from the video, taken on a day when I was still smiling, still whole. My father stood at the pulpit, his voice steady. She was troubled, but we loved her. We prayed she'd come back to us. My mother sat in the front row, her sobs delicate, her lace-trimmed tissues a perfect prop. And Elena, my sister, stood beside her, clutching her pearls like they could hold her together. My sister Billy was complicated, but she was mine, she said, a single tear rolling down her cheek. I wish I could have said goodbye. A lie wrapped in a performance, tied with a bow. The priest raised his hand. Let us now stand for a moment of silence. The congregation rose, heads bowed, eyes closed. That's when I moved. I pushed open the heavy oak doors, the creak splitting the silence like a crack in their perfect facade. Cold light poured into the church and I stepped into it, my heels clicking on the marble floor like gunshots. Click, click, click. Heads turned, gasps rippled through the crowd. A child's voice broke the tension. "Mom, isn't that her?" I removed my sunglasses, meeting their wide, disbelieving eyes. My mother's face went pale, her body crumpling in a theatrical faint. My father's wineglass slipped from his hand, shattering against the pew. Elena froze, her pearls twisting in her grip, champagne splashing across her pristine white shoes. The priest took a step back, stunned. I kept walking, every eye in the church following me like I was a ghost or a reckoning. I reached the front, standing beneath my own portrait. The silence was deafening. I cleared my throat and spoke, my voice steady. I heard I died, but I'm here to correct the story. The room erupted in whispers, phones lifted, red dots blinking as someone began to record. I pulled out my folder, passport stamps, leases, tax filings, proof of a life they tried to erase. There was no accident, no car crash. I've been alive, working, surviving. The only thing I lost was them. I turned to Elena, her face hollow. Don't enjoy the house you bought with my money. Then to my parents. You didn't lose a daughter. You threw her away, and now you get to watch her walk back in. The lies they'd built were crumbling, and I was the match that set them ablaze. I walked out of that church as the bells began to ring, their somber toll no longer for me. I handed my documents to my lawyer, signed the final page, and watched as my forged death certificate was torn in half. My legal resurrection was official. An investigation opened into fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy. Let them try to lie now. The days that followed were a whirlwind. The video from the church leaked online, headlines screaming, "Woman crashes her own funeral." Social media exploded, strangers dissecting my story like I was a character in a drama. But this wasn't fiction. This was my life. 2 weeks later, Sam, my youngest cousin, showed up at my door with a USB drive. "I found this in Aunt Rachel's desk," he said. Emails, bank transfers, proof Elena took the money, proof they framed you. My throat tightened. "Why are you helping me?" I asked. He smiled, soft and sincere. "Because when I was a kid, you were the only one who treated me like I mattered." The lawsuit grew teeth. The evidence was undeniable. Wire transfers, forged signatures, messages plotting my erasure. My parents and Elena were trapped in their own web, but justice wasn't enough. I wanted my life back, the years they stole, the future they tried to bury. So, I started small. I reconnected with old friends, some crying when they saw me, others apologizing for believing the lies. Slowly, the ghost I'd become faded, replaced by a woman with a voice, a presence, a name. The hardest part was trusting myself again, letting go of the betrayal that had defined me for so long. When the trial came, I walked into the courthouse with my head high. Cameras flashed, reporters shouted, but I kept moving. Inside, Elena sat pale and rigid, her pearls gone. My parents avoided my gaze, their defiance crumbling. The judge read the charges, the evidence unraveling their lies piece by piece. When the verdict came, guilty, I didn't smile or cry. I just breathed. My trust fund was restored, my name reinstated, my record wiped clean. But there was no victory parade, only the quiet weight of freedom. Months later, I rented a small studio near the cafe where I worked. I started writing again, words flowing like blood returning to a numb limb. Sam visited often and we laughed, reminisced, dreamed of futures that once felt impossible. For the first time in years, I allowed myself to hope. But some nights, in the quiet hours before dawn, I still see that church. The silence when I walked down the aisle, the eyes watching me like I was both ghost and storm. That moment will never leave me. I was buried alive, but I clawed my way back, not for revenge, not for them, but for me. My name is Billy. I was erased, declared dead, forgotten. But this story doesn't end with a funeral. It ends with a beginning, a life that's mine, entirely mine. Thank you for joining me on this incredible journey, for feeling Billy's pain, her strength, and her triumph. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and leave a comment telling me where you're watching from or how this story made you feel. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so we can keep sharing stories that inspire and uplift. Until next time, stay strong, stay true, and keep fighting for your own resurrection.